SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
State Treasurer David McRae has put hundreds of millions back into the hands of Mississippi citizens, expanding the state's affordable college and career savings program and also returning record amounts of unclaimed money. Check out how Treasurer David McRae's office can help you, your business, or your organization. Treasury.ms.gov.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning, Mississippi.
Everything gonna be all right this morning.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
Oh, yeah.
Here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Woo! Now, when I was a young boy, at the age of 5, my mother said I was gonna be the greatest man alive. But now I'm a man, way past 21.
Good morning and welcome in. It's Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi, streaming at supertalk.fm and SuperTalk TV on your SuperTalk Mississippi radio stations, and it's all presented by Community Bank. Online at communitybank.net. Community Bank, rooted in our community. Last night, much of the United States stopped and watched soccer with great anticipation, only to find huge disappointment when it was all said and done. Are you going to own this, Lance? Did you tune in and watch? And
No, I did not.
You did not?
No.
Okay.
By the time I would have, it was out of hand.
It was pretty out of hand. Got out of hand fairly quickly in last night's match. We'll talk about that coming up in a little while. We've got much to get to with you this morning. We'll start with what's going to be another warm day across the state of Mississippi. In Marks, Mississippi, mostly sunny. Maybe a few clouds mixed in with highs in the mid-90s, lows tonight in the low to mid-70s. Kind of a low chance of showers and thunderstorms. They would be isolated if they exist. Going to be humid with very light winds. In Macon, Mississippi, mostly sunny today with a chance of showers and thunderstorms this afternoon. High somewhere around 90 degrees. The overnight low tonight, 72. About a 30, maybe 40% chance of some rain this afternoon. Heat advisory in effect in Macon. Port Gibson, the city too beautiful to burn. Mostly sunny with a chance of showers and thunderstorms with a high of 92 today. Low tonight of 73. A 30 to 50% chance of rain. Higher chance in some isolated areas. Going to be humid and got that opportunity for thunderstorms coming up tonight. And in southeast Mississippi, in Wiggins, 93 for your high with a low around 73. Chance of showers and thunderstorms. About 20% today. Going to go up a bit later in the week, but mostly dry and humid today. Across the state, heat indices going to be back in the triple digits, 100 to 110 across the entire state. We are in that typical hot and humid pattern with some thunderstorms mixed in along the way. C-Spire text line is open to you at 601-879-4395. 601-879-4395. Tax-free weekend is coming up. It is this weekend, July 10th through the 12th, and it's even better. Excuse me. It's even better at C-Spire. Get the best deals and skip the taxes on any new phone. Shop now at cspire.com or visit your local C-Spire store today.
Deals are so good, you're getting choked up a little bit.
Yeah, it's like a hiccupy thing.
Well, I got a new phone, and I'm telling you, buddy, that deals are hot.
They're hot?
Yeah, they're hot. Got to go get you some.
The old Samsung Lance stuck with the old Samsung.
They told me, they were like, you've been with Samsung so long that you need to stick with what you got. And I was like, I think you're right. I wouldn't even know what to do with an iPhone other than kind of look at it.
All you do is just kind of turn it on, and it does pretty much everything you need it to do. It's It's fairly intuitive.
I can sense the absolute disgust in your voice.
I don't really care, other than just like it would make the world so much easier.
What I said,
It would make our communication so much easier.
I get a great Richard Cross comment when I said, well, they even threw in a watch for me, and I sent him a picture of the watch, and he goes, oh, Samsung makes watches? I didn't know that. It's like, ooh.
James says it is heavily raining in Batesville right now. Pulled up the radar, and he's right. South Panola County, southern part of Panola County, you got the rain coming down. Charleston, just north of Charleston, maybe even a little thunderstorm mixed in. A few pockets of rain across the state. Thanks for joining us this morning. Today is the 7th of July. Ringo Starr was born on this day in 1940. The legendary English drummer for the Beatles, singer, songwriter, actor, one of the most iconic musicians of all time.
Octopus's Garden. That's his big one.
Saw a quote from him yesterday, and he said, if energy is the issue, we got a long way to go because he's got plenty of it.
Oh, nice.
Good for him. 1913, Pine Top Perkins was born, the Mississippi-born American blues pianist from Belzona. He was a longtime member of Muddy Waters Band, and he's a Blues Hall of Famer. Passed away in 2011.
Made it to 97, if I remember. But, I mean, think of this. When you're in the 1940s, he was actually a pretty good guitarist and ended up getting in a fight with a girl in the chorus line who had a knife, and she stabbed him all in the hand, and he couldn't guitar anymore. So he learned the piano and actually earned a Grammy, Lifetime Achievement Award there.
Pretty good career move.
Yeah. But yeah, what a dude.
Intentional or not.
Joe Willie Pine Top Perkins.
There you go.
Yes, sir.
Which is better, Joe Willie or Pine Top?
I don't know, man. I love Joe Willie. That's a good one.
George Cukor was born in 1899, the American film director known for classics like The Philadelphia Story, My Fair Lady, and A Star is Born. Not the most recent edition of that, but we've talked about that before. I think there are 4 different versions of A Star is Born that have been made. Vonda Shepard was born in 1963, the singer, songwriter, and actress best known for her work on the TV series Ally McBeal. What was it? Callista Flockhart was the star?
Yeah.
She played Ally McBeal?
That's her.
Doc Severinsen, born in 1927. He is 99 years old. The American jazz trumpeter and band leader. He was the longtime musical director of The Tonight Show Band starring Johnny Carson.
Was a legend.
Hamish Linklater, born in 1976. The Newsroom, Midnight Mass, and The Big Short. Wall Street movie was a book first.
You don't hear Hamish as a first name very often.
You don't. And then Maddie Marlowe was born in 1995, the country singer and songwriter. She is half of the duo of Maddie and Tay, 31 years old today.
One for you that is another legend, 1906, obviously the year we know, but on this day, Satchel Paige is believed to have been born. So they don't quite know exactly, but...
Okay.
Yeah, Mobile, Alabama.
Yeah. One of the all-time greats.
Yes, definitely.
1456. In the this goes into the category of, well, thanks, but Joan of Arc was acquitted of heresy in a retrial 25 years after she was executed. Posthumous reversal helped solidify her status as a French national heroine and saint.
There's a little oopsie-daisy on that one, huh?
Yeah. Whoops. 1798, the U.S. Congress rescinds treaties with France, effectively beginning the Quasi-War, an undeclared naval conflict between the U.S. and France that lasted for 2 years. In 1863, during the Civil War, Union forces under Lieutenant Colonel Kit Carson began a campaign against Native American tribes in the West. 1865, 4 conspirators in the assassination of President Abraham Lincoln, Mary Surratt, Lewis Powell, David Harold, and George Atzerodt, are hanged in Washington, D.C. Mary Surratt became the first woman executed by the United States federal government. In 1898, President William McKinley signed the Newlands Resolution, officially annexing Hawaii as a U.S. territory. Maybe it was the Newlands Resolution. I don't know if I put the emphasis in the right place. Hawaii is a territory, later obviously become a state. 1912, American exceptional athlete Jim Thorpe won the pentathlon at the Stockholm Olympics, beginning his legendary performance at the Olympic Games. He later also won the decathlon. 1928, the Chillicothe Baking Company in Missouri began selling pre-sliced bread commercially. The greatest thing since sliced bread.
Must have been tough back then, you know.
When you had to cut your own bread?
Yeah, it must have been very difficult.
Yeah.
To earn a moniker like that.
1981, Ronald Reagan nominated Sandra Day O'Connor to the United States Supreme Court. She became the first woman to serve on the nation's highest court. And it was 2005 when a series of coordinated suicide bombings struck London's public transport system. 3 underground trains and a bus, killing 56 people and injuring over 700. We'll get to your messages on the C Spire text line. News headlines are coming up next. It's Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Good morning from the...
Pour yourself a cup of coffee and get the Magnolia State's most important news of the day. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Time for news headlines with you on this Tuesday morning, the 7th of July. This is Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi. News yesterday from the Mississippi Gulf Coast after a body was found Monday morning on Horn Island. The family of 18-year-old Nolan Xavier Wells say that it is indeed his body. A quote from his mother, Christine Wansley: his father, our family, friends, and I are absolutely devastated. My heart is broken for my sweet son who was always willing to cheer and uplift others. Nolan was a special soul. God took his time creating our son. I ask that you please give me and my family time to grieve. Wells was last seen on Horn Island, about 10 miles off the coast of his hometown of Ocean Springs, around 3 o'clock on the 4th of July. A lot of holiday boaters there, big crowd on the island, and after the Jackson County Sheriff's Department was notified that Wells may not have returned to the mainland, deputies and multiple partner agencies launched a search. Talked about that yesterday. You had the Jackson County Sheriff's Department, the Harrison County Sheriff's Department, assisting the Marine Resources Agency, the United States Coast Guard, the Cajun Navy came in to assist. Around 8:45 yesterday morning, as we were wrapping things up on the air, a park ranger found a body on the northwest end of the island. Authorities did not immediately identify it as Wells, but the Jackson County coroner, Bruce Lind, told WLOX there is no reason to believe it is not him. Both the coroner and Jackson County Sheriff John Ledbetter told the station that the body matched the description of Wells. The search began after Wells' mother reported him missing on Saturday night. The Gulf Islands National Seashore was also involved in the search. In her social media post, Wansley thanked law enforcement, friends, and community members who searched for her son for love, support, and resources over the last few days. Wells' body has been transported to the Mississippi State Medical Examiner's office for an autopsy. The cause of death at this point has not been released. Nolan Wells was a graduate of Ocean Springs High School. and was a wide receiver on the Southwest Mississippi Community College football team. It really is hard to imagine the amount of pain and grief that the Wells family is going through right now. The idea of having a son who is young and fit and lots of friends, just out having a good time on a holiday, and him not coming home, only to ultimately find out that he has passed away, is something that a parent has its just absolute worst nightmares made of. We offer our most sincere condolences to the Wells family, to his friends, and to all those that are having to deal with the heartache of this. And certainly we will keep an eye on the investigation and any more details that come out about this, and we'll pass those along to you. The Jackson bribery scandal took a wild turn yesterday. Just a week before the trial was set to begin in Jackson, Mayor Chokwe Antar Lumumba, former mayor, and Councilman Aaron Banks have reached plea agreements. Both Lumumba and Banks were indicted in 2024 and initially pleaded not guilty in connection with the scandal, where they were accused of taking bribes to give a favorable look at a Nashville developer's downtown convention center hotel project. Turned out the developers were actually FBI informants. Instead of Jackson getting a new hotel, federal authorities exposed a broader string of public corruption through bribes, private planes, strip clubs, yachts, and more, according to court records. Lumumba and Banks officially notified officials in the federal courthouse in Jackson yesterday of their intent to swap pleas. 1 week after former Hinds County District Attorney Jody Owens reached a plea agreement of his own. Lumumba was charged with 1 count of conspiracy, 2 counts of federal bribery, 1 count of racketeering, 1 count of wire fraud, and 1 count of money laundering. Banks faced 1 count of conspiracy and 2 counts of federal bribery. The former mayor was facing up to 75 years in prison for the charges levied against him, though he now faces up to just 5 years after pleading his case down to conspiracy. Owens, likewise, was facing a lengthy stint behind bars, but worked his maximum sentence down drastically, and Banks faced up to 15 years, but he is now set to get a more lenient sentence as well. All 3 men were set to go to trial on July 13th, but now that 2 have reached agreements and another likely to be inked in the near future, the next move by the court will be sentencing. All 3 men are set to be sentenced on October 15th. Lumumba and Owens notably alleged political prosecution and shoddy investigative practices by the FBI. Others involved in the scandal include former Jackson Councilwoman Angelique Lee, businessman Sherrick Marv Smith, who is the cousin of Owens. Lee and Smith pleaded guilty to their roles in the scheme in 2024. You might be left to ask, well, why would prosecutors agree to the plea agreement? Why would you go from potentially 75 years in prison for a former corrupt mayor down to 5? It's kind of part of the legal game. While, yes, the possibility of getting a major conviction and a long prison sentence is there, you also have the possibility of a jury not seeing things the way that you see it, of a judge not seeing things the way that the prosecution sees it. And so sometimes you are willing to take what you can get. And that's what they were able to agree on. And Jackson, thankfully, will get to move on from this chapter of corruption after mid-October. The Leake County School District has confirmed that one of its employees is facing a child sex crime charge. Superintendent Will Russell did not identify the employee or the individual's role within the district, but confirmed that a district employee had indeed been charged with grooming of a child. A source told our SuperTalk Mississippi news team that the recent arrest of Sammy McLaurin in Lamar County is believed to be the case in question, though officials have not confirmed that McLaurin is the employee referenced by the district. McLaurin was listed as a director with the Leake County School District's Office of School Nutrition. Lamar County Sheriff Danny Regal and Mississippi Attorney General Lynn Fitch announced his arrest on July 2nd, charged him with grooming of a child as part of the state's Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. Russell did not specify what action was taken in light of the arrest, but asserted that the school district followed all protocols in accordance with its policy and with state law. The superintendent added that the district will continue to monitor the situation as the legal process moves forward. He told parents that he and other administrators will remain focused on keeping students safe and protected from bad actors. McLaurin was given a $25,000 bond. The Mississippi Highway Patrol responded to 110 crashes, resulting in 38 injuries and 2 deaths during the Independence Day travel period. Lieutenant Kervin Stewart said Monday that fatal accidents happened in Marion County on July 3rd and in DeSoto County on July 4th. The Marion County crash claimed the life of a Louisiana man. The DeSoto County accident claimed the life of a pedestrian identified as 38-year-old James Taylor from Clarksdale. C-Spire text line is open to you, 601-879-4395, 601-879-4395. Love for you to join the conversation. Your morning sports update brought to you by Pearl River Resort, coming up next on the other side of this timeout. Thanks for spending part of your Tuesday morning with us. It's Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
My feet can't fail me now. My feet can't fail me now. Say what? My feet can't fail me now. 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 My feet can't fail me now.
From the Seabrook.com team. Being Mississippi politics each morning. Mornings with Richard Cross. Super Talk, Mississippi.
Just such a good one.
I love that song.
So good.
Makes you smile.
Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk Mississippi. Today is the 7th of July, and it's going to be a warm one across the state of Mississippi. Mornings is brought to you by Community Bank, online at communitybank.net, rooted in our community. It's time for your morning sports update, brought to you by Pearl River Resort. Pearl River Resort is your home for family fun, casino thrills, and live entertainment. Check them out online at Pearl River Resort, or do one better than that. Visit them in person. The Golden Moon, the Silver Star, the Dancing Rabbit Golf Club, Geyser Falls Water Park, live entertainment. Plenty of options on the gaming floor. And a whole lot more, including great food. PearlRiverResort.com. It has been a long time And when I say long time, it may have been never before, where soccer was appointment viewing at my house. And I don't think that I'm alone in that. The story of this United States men's national team had swept across the country. Viewership numbers were off the charts. There was a love fest with American men's soccer for the last week. And that love fest came to a fast, abrupt end last night. Game story lead on ESPN is this. For almost a month, the United States men's national team showed the best version of itself. It played with aggression, passion, and even some flair. The team was flying high, and then, on the biggest stage yet, at this FIFA World Cup, in front of a capacity home crowd, the men's national team crashed to earth, delivering its worst performance in recent memory, falling to an inspired Belgium side 4-1. Belgium's win was dominant. It was clinical. It was precise. And it was incredibly disappointing for fans of the Americans. It was Belgium who knocked the United States out of the World Cup in the round of 16 back in 2014 as well. And it didn't take Belgium long to get on the board in the match last night. They got an early goal thanks to a defensive breakdown on the back line and had a 1-0 lead. And then the United States, after 0 shots on goal, finally got a shot. It was a penalty kick from just outside the 18-yard line. That's the big box on the outside of the two boxes, if you're not familiar. There's one at 6 yards, and then that next line is at 18, and it was about 6 or 8 yards behind that. And an incredible strike that was deflected off of a Belgian player into the net, made it 1-1. And for the next 61 seconds, American fans were jubilant and hopeful and thought, well, that'll get them going. But again, just 61 seconds. By the way, it was Malik Tillman with the goal in the 31st minute. But another defensive collapse on the back line led to a second goal for Belgium. It was 2-1 at the half. There were opportunities for the United States. They were down 3-1. If you could just get it to 3-2, you felt like you had a great shot, and the best opportunity was on a long ball forward that was sent errant, not able to make it a one-goal game. And then, I don't know, one of the things that you saw online last night was, in the aftermath, all of the comparisons to other sports. So this would be like a useless backup scoring a touchdown late in the ball game. Although the backup touchdown came from one of Belgium's stars that had not started in the game. The United States was outclassed in every aspect of that game last night. And Belgium advances to take on Spain in the round of 8. A lot of conversation about where soccer goes from here in the United States over and over and over, going back to 1994 when the U.S. last hosted the World Cup. You've heard the conversation about this is soccer's big moment. This is the moment that it's going to catch on in the U.S. This is the moment where the global playing field will be leveled a bit. And yet soccer has kind of stayed where it has always been. Popular, especially among youth, but an altogether different type of youth training program in the United States than you see in much of the rest of the world. It is, the 5th most popular sport, maybe 6th most popular sport in the United States. The NFL is the king and will remain the king for the foreseeable future. College football has worked its way into number 2. You can argue about where the NBA and Major League Baseball fall after college football. There's so many interests for the United States. And immediately after the game, even while the game was still going last night, you saw online over and over and over, 53 days till the start of college football season, 60 days till college football gets started in the United States. I tried to be somewhat funny and say, hey, there's a replay of Florida State, Florida on the SEC network right now if you're looking for a different brand of football. But it all came to an end. But this run was fun. And I think here's what we were reminded of. One, American sports fans, not soccer fans, American sports fans love a winner, first of all. If you win, you can grab people's attention. Second, American sports fans love looking on the field and seeing those red, white, and blue jerseys and the patriotism and the pride that goes along with it. And then you add in a catchy team anthem like Country Roads where everybody can stand and sing. And it just spreads like wildfire. And something really, really dramatic has to happen to take American sports fans from just a fan of winners, just a fan of patriotic or patriotism, to fully invested in a sport. Are there more people that like soccer today than there were 30 years ago? Absolutely. Really, really popular game. If you go out to your local sports complex on a Tuesday night in the fall or in the spring, you're going to see kids everywhere in soccer uniforms. It's a big deal where I live. It's a big deal in Meridian. It's a big deal in Jackson. It's a big deal on the coast. It's a big deal in Tupelo, DeSoto County, and so on. But it's never going to overtake some of the bigger sports that we have in the United States. So what do we take from all of it? It was a heck of a fun run. Sure would have been cool if we could have won last night and then counted down the days until Friday afternoon for a game against Spain at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles, or whatever they're calling it. But it's not to be. It's Belgium that is advancing. And they are advancing to play Spain, who beat Portugal yesterday 1-0 in what is Cristiano Ronaldo's final game, or what was his final game for Portugal. The legendary striker's career on soccer's biggest stage is over after the all-time leader in international goals said ahead of the game against Spain that this would be his final World Cup. I will be curious to see what the viewership numbers are like going forward, because Spain and Belgium probably not going to be appointment viewing on Friday afternoon. There are no games today in the World Cup. France and Morocco get the round of 8 going on Thursday. On Friday, it's Spain and Belgium. On Saturday, Norway and England in Miami. And then a few days off before you go to the semifinals and the finals. That's your morning sports update brought to you by Pearl River Resort. We'll get to your messages on the C Spire text line, plus an update from the Mississippi Lottery coming up next. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Good morning from the
Mornings with Richard Cross here on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
What else?
And always on the SuperTalk app.
My apologies. A moment ago I said no soccer today. You get two games. Argentina, Egypt at 11. Switzerland, Colombia at 3. If you are so inclined, those are available to you. Thanks for the correction on the C Spire text line. Right now, it's time for your Mississippi Lottery update. Got a big drawing tonight as Mega Millions is up to $576 million in the jackpot with an estimated cash value of $253,900,000. So that's a big one. Over $500 million for the jackpot. Drawing happening tonight. Have to buy your tickets by 9 o'clock Central Time. And the drawing happens at 10 o'clock. Next drawing for Powerball tomorrow night, $434 million there. So Wednesday, July 8th, the next Powerball drawing. Summer is heating up, and so are the Mississippi Lottery's new scratch-offs. This month, the lottery is launching 4 brand-new games from just $1 up to $10 with exciting bonus features, multipliers, and top prizes up to $200,000. Whether you're looking for fast bucks, spicy hot cash, big money riches, or grand stacks, there's a new game waiting for you. Learn more about the all-new July scratch-offs at mslottery.com or on the Mississippi Lottery official app. Please play responsibly. Give you a couple of winners. A Macon man won $5,400 on a pair of tickets from Thames in Macon. That was on a Cash 4 scratch-off. You had a Cash Pop winner, or winners. Players from Crawford, Crystal Springs, Jackson, Wesson, and Columbus each won $1,000 on tickets at Tina Watkins. Is that MSI, or just Psy? We're going Psy Gas and Food in Crystal Springs, Circle K in Brandon, Tobacco Mart in Brookhaven, and House of Wings in Tupelo. So several winners there. And then on a $5 Wheel of Fortune scratch-off, a Diamond Head man won a top prize of $100,000 on a ticket from Natal's Tobacco Hut and Fine Cigars in Diamond Head. Buy lottery tickets at the Tobacco Hut and Cigar Shop?
Of course.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know. That's your Mississippi Lottery update, mslottery.com. Sports fans in general are a bunch of bandwagoners, says Shaq Bully in Biloxi. I'm telling you, man, the American sports fan loves a winner, loves a bracket, loves a compelling story, and loves its team or teams.
We're good at marketing, too. You know, that helps get it out in front of folks. I mean, my opinion, I think that America's probably the best at marketing itself. Yeah, so it helps when you have a great rollout, a great marketing plan, and you're hosting also. That made a big difference.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Shaq Bully goes on to say the field is too big. The game is too slow and low scoring. The flopping makes the NBA look like a bunch of bad actors. Arbitrarily adding time at the end of regulation is just stupid. The growth of soccer in the U.S. is in direct correlation to the lack of interest in other contact or stick and ball sports. I guess I probably could have said that word, but sure. I'll just pass.
It's early.
Yeah. You know, I don't know about the field being too big. The idea that the game is slow, I would disagree with that. Soccer at this level is actually really, really fast. You just don't have a lot of scoring. So slow from the standpoint of scoring, but to say slow and low scoring, I disagree with that. It's kind of like if you watch a college football game from the stands or on television as compared to being at field level. Sometimes it takes being on the field at that level to realize just how fast and how physical it is. And I'm not talking about on, like, the play where the quarterback gets blown up and everybody in the stadium goes, ooh! I'm just talking about on your random sweep play out to the right side where there's a collision at the sideline after a 3-yard gain and nobody really thinks anything about it. It's just another play. Unless you happen to be standing 4 feet from it, you're like, good golly, those guys are moving fast. Man, that hit was big. But they act like it's nothing. Soccer at this level of the World Cup, really fast and quick and technical and highly skilled. CC in Senatobia says, good grief, did you guys know that Taylor Swift got married this past weekend? I missed it, and I totally forgot to care.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, CC, we gave a passing reference to that. He said he saw Adam Sandler was officiating. It would have been great if he had channeled Bobby Boucher and told him, Mama said y'all doing stupid. That was not a good Bobby Boucher.
Mama said. Mama said.
Medulla oblongata. 7 o'clock hour on the way.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on this show are not the opinions of TeleSouth Communications, its management, or advertisers.
Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
O'clock hour. This is Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi. I'm your host. Glad to be with you alongside Lance Tolbert. I'm Richard, and love to hear from you on the C Spire text line. This morning, Peter Costa will join us a little after 7:30. The former governor on the New York Stock Exchange and market analyst with CNBC will talk to us about some of the things that are happening in the market right now, and with global currencies and all of the things in that financial world. So that's Peter Costa coming up at 7:37. And then in the 8 o'clock hour, we've got a first-time guest joining us, and I'm really interested to learn more about the Spaceport company. Tom Marotta, CEO and founder of the Spaceport company, a company based here in Mississippi, will join us. Offshore launch operations. They shoot rockets and missiles into the sky from a boat or from a floating platform in the Gulf or other locations. Fascinated to learn more about the Spaceport company and all that they have going on. Mornings is presented by Community Bank. Ever notice how some places still know your name? At Community Bank, that's how banking works. We're a bank that knows community because we live here. And when you walk in, you're more than an account number. No matter what your banking needs are, you will talk to real people who care about your goals. Community Bank, a local bank built on relationships. Stop by your neighborhood location or learn more at communitybank.net. 7 o'clock hour every day is brought to you by MWG Employer Services. Running a business is tough. If you're struggling with HR benefits and payroll, you are not alone. MWG Employer Services can help. They can provide a full range of employer services plus a custom plan that fits you. Give them a call today, 601-206-7966, or online at mwgemployerservices.com. There are two big national political stories that are kind of dominating the news cycle right now. One of them has to do with a Democrat. One of them has to do with a Republican. First, the Democrat. Graham Plattner. Susan Collins is the Republican senator from Maine, and while she is anything but a reliable Republican vote in the Senate. She does caucus with Republicans. She does have an R next to her name, and though she is fairly moderate, she has been instrumental and significant in some votes that Republicans needed. So many times we talk about Susan Collins from Maine and Lisa Murkowski from Alaska, and those are two contested Senate seats. And while Republicans may not love their brand of politics all the time and may be incredibly frustrated with the opposition that they sometimes put in the way of the president's agenda or the House's agenda or the Senate's agenda, having Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski is far better than having a Democrat who would always vote against those agenda items. And so Democrats view the Senate seat from Maine as one that is gettable. And they decided that Graham Plattner was the guy. A perceived working class, everyday man who had served. And yeah, he had some stuff in his past, but it was overcomable. It would appeal to progressives, might even appeal to the far left. The socialists could make it work. And as more and more has come out about Graham Plattner, including his tattoo with Nazi symbolism that he's had for nearly 2 decades, they were able to look past that. Which is really fascinating because one of the favorite things that Democrats have had to say about Donald Trump is, oh, he's Hitler. Oh, he's a Nazi. They painted Elon Musk in the same light when he was waving at the crowd, and they compared it to a Heil Hitler salute. Democrats conveniently used Nazi symbolism and language to paint Donald Trump and others in the light they wanted to. But when it was one of their guys that had a tattoo with Nazi symbolism tied to it, he's learned from it. That was a long time ago. More than willing to give him a second chance. And when the New York Times soft-pedaled, and that's putting it lightly, a story about alleged abuse, it was okay. Chris Murphy from Connecticut, in an interview with Anderson Cooper, I think it was, said, I just view him as a human being, flaws and all. Well, the tide has shifted because another story about alleged abuse and rape has come out about Graham Plattner. And now it's just a hill too far for Democrats. The Nazi tattoo is not too much. The allegations of being in a chat room that was a place for predators, that was not too much. That was not a bridge too far. The allegations of sexual assault, not a bridge too far. But a Democrat woman has come forward and said that Graham Plattner raped her. And now we hear from Ro Khanna. I've been very clear that sexual assault or violence against women is a red line. These allegations are very serious and credible. Graham Plattner should drop out from the race. I am withdrawing my endorsement. Arizona Senator Ruben Gallego called the allegations troubling and deeply serious, saying, I am rescinding my endorsement. The Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee, the DSCC, withdrew its support. Chuck Schumer is out. Kristen Gillibrand is out. The allegations reported today are incredibly disturbing. Violence, abuse, and sexual assault are absolutely unacceptable. Parenthetically, unless we think you can still get elected. The Democrat from New Mexico, Martin Heinrich said the allegations are appalling. If accurate, they reveal conduct that is completely unacceptable and incompatible with the integrity we should demand from those seeking office. I can no longer support Graham Plattner's candidacy. He should step aside. The timing of these statements couldn't have anything to do with the fact that the Democrats have only days before they can remove Graham Plattner's name completely and make sure that another candidate is there. The Hill writes that Plattner's unraveling may keep the Maine Senate seat in play for Democrats. In the wake of the most serious allegations yet against the scandal-soaked Democratic Senate nominee, this time that he raped an erstwhile girlfriend in 2021, the months-long drumbeat from party leaders to get him out of the race may yet succeed. Maine law has July 13th as the deadline for withdrawal in favor of state Democrats' designated replacement. And again, remember, the end goal here for Democrats is simply beat Susan Collins. Democratic Governor Janet Mills, also a Democrat candidate running for this Senate seat, apparently reluctant in her initial entrance into the race, now appears to be chomping at the bit. Democrats need to pick up 8 of 11 competitive Senate races to take back the Senate for the first time since 2014. Georgia, New Hampshire, Michigan, Minnesota, North Carolina, Maine, Iowa, Alaska, Texas, Ohio, Nebraska, Montana, states that are potentially in play. And so this is a significant moment for Democrats. Lest you be confused, their concern is not about the allegations against Graham Plattner. Their concern is singularly about beating Susan Collins.
Good morning from the Venom.
From Sumner to Summit to Summerall, Richard has something for you. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Good to be with you. It's Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi. We get another Bobby Boucher reference this morning from CC in Senatobia. He says, my mama said Graham Plattner is the devil. I got to stop with, like, the impersonation is so bad I should just stop. It's like I can hear it how it's supposed to sound in my head, and it just doesn't quite come out that way.
Now, why is alligator so ornery? They got all them teeth and ain't got no toothbrush.
Mama said. Maybe I should just stick with Timothy Chalamet. Oh, the Adam Sandler stuff could go on forever and ever. So I told you there were 2 major stories in national politics that are dominating the headlines. One is the Graham Plattner story. The other is the health of Mitch McConnell, the long-serving senator from Kentucky who was elected first in 1984 and was the Republican leader in the Senate from 2007 until last year, serving in roles as both the minority and majority leader. There is lots that you can not like about Mitch McConnell. If you are a Republican, if you are a conservative, though, there are a couple of things that absolutely define his legacy, and it has to do with Supreme Court appointments. Keeping Barack Obama from being able to make a late-term Supreme Court appointment and finding a way to get those appointments through the Senate for approval that Donald Trump made. And look, you can quibble about Supreme Court decisions last week, but without Amy Coney Barrett, without Neil Gorsuch, without Brett Kavanaugh, some of the landmark conservative legislation that has either been upheld or overruled by this Supreme Court over the last decade does not happen. And without Mitch McConnell as the leader of the Senate, those candidates don't get through the Senate. So you can like Mitch McConnell, you can not like him, you can love him, you can hate him, somewhere in between from an emotional standpoint. But his legacy should be defined by those Supreme Court nominees getting through, in my mind. So what's the question about Mitch McConnell? The question is he still alive outside of a machine? His staff said last week that the senator is continuing his recovery in a hospital while the Senate is out of session. They have released no details about the former Republican leader's condition during his weeks-long hospitalization or whether he will be at the Capitol when the Senate returns next week. McConnell was admitted to the hospital on June 14th and is reportedly receiving excellent care. A statement a week after he was admitted to the hospital said that he would not be voting that week, and on Thursday a new statement said that he continues to improve and appreciates the outpouring of support he's receiving while he continues his recovery in the hospital. The senator's unspecified health issues come after multiple hospitalizations in recent years. 2023, he was hospitalized for a concussion after a fall in a Washington hotel. In the aftermath of that, you had those awkward moments where he froze up on camera, and there were people that said it looks like he is having a stroke. McConnell had polio as a child and has acknowledged some difficulty as an adult in walking and climbing stairs. He tripped in his home in 2019, had to undergo surgery for a fractured shoulder. So a lot of health issues through the years for McConnell, especially in his older years. There is reporting that is out there, both at the local level and the national level, that Mitch McConnell is simply alive because of machines at this point. That there is limited to no brain function, and there's not any bringing him back. But there is no there's no statement or no confirmation from his office or his staff that that is the case. And then there's an interesting wrinkle in this, in that he went into the hospital and then his wife left for a trip to China. And without her there and with him incapacitated, you can't have end-of-life orders that are signed off on. Not a good situation. And there are political implications there as well. One being that if he died, that would open up a Senate seat in which there would be a special open election, I think it is in Kentucky, that would allow an independent, perhaps Thomas Massey, to jump in that race. And that is concerning for some Republicans. So those are the two big national stories that are out there right now. Graham Plattner and Mitch McConnell. Interesting economic news yesterday. This struck me in a fascinating way. We know that the president gets a lot of heat, a ton of flack from all sides, including from his own party. So when good economic news comes along, it should stand to reason that he also gets some credit, right? And I'm not talking about from the Trump sycophants. I'm talking about from the people that oppose him, and they say none of his economic policies work. Tariffs were a disaster. Fuel prices are too high. Gas prices are too high. You'll never get manufacturing back. That ship has sailed. And Trump has said, no, manufacturing is coming back to the United States. So when there is a win, surely some credit should go to him. Like when Toyota announces that it will spend $3.5 billion to bring production of its top-selling midsize pickup, the Toyota Tacoma, back to the United States by 2030. The company plans to build a second assembly line for the Tacoma at the San Antonio plant, where it currently assembles larger pickups and SUVs, adding 2,000 jobs. Wall Street Journal writes, making more vehicles in the U.S. will help Toyota, the world's top-selling automaker, defray a hefty tariff bill in its largest market. The company also needs more domestic capacity as it struggles to keep its U.S. dealers stocked with vehicles. Currently, the Tacoma is built in roughly equal numbers and plants at Guanajuato and Baja California, both in Mexico. The Baja plant's production will move to San Antonio when the expansion is complete. The Guanajuato's plant output will remain unaffected, at least for now. So a $3.5 billion financial investment and 2,000 jobs coming to San Antonio. Mid-size truck sales in the United States are dominated by the Toyota Tacoma. About 270,000 a year compared to about 150,000 Ford Mavericks, 100,000 or so Chevy Colorados, about 70,000 Ford Rangers, 60,000 Nissan Frontiers, about 50,000 GMC Canyons, and then there's the Hyundai Santa Cruz that makes, about 30 or 40,000 midsize pickups every year. You've got that, and then you've got also the story of Walmart lowering its prices significantly in some cases. Cost of beef going down at Walmart, cost of Coca-Cola, and hundreds of other products being significantly reduced in the days and weeks ahead. Peter Costa will join us coming up next, former governor on the New York Stock Exchange, market analyst with CNBC, and an all-around good dude. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk, Mississippi. We're back with you after this.
From the Seabrook.
Morning, partner.
The sun is up, the coffee is on, and you're starting your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross, here on SuperTalk, Mississippi. Welcome back.
Mornings with Richard Cross. Thanks for joining us. The C Spire text line is open to you, 601-879-4395. Tax-free weekend is this coming weekend, July 10th through the 12th, and it's even better at C Spire. Get the best deals and skip the taxes on any new phone. It's the perfect time to switch or upgrade your device and save even more while you're at it. Plus, you definitely need to check out the latest deals at C Spire before they're gone, like a free iPhone 17 Pro Max or Samsung Galaxy S26 Ultra with trade-in. Shop now at cspire.com or visit your local C Spire store today. You could be like Lance and drive a brand new Samsung S26 Ultra. Or you could be like Peter Costa and get an iPhone. Peter Costa joins us right now. Former market analyst with CNBC. He was a governor on the New York Stock Exchange. And as I said a bit ago, all-around good guy. Good morning, my friend.
Good morning, Richard. I hope you're doing well.
I am. I have a really important question for you. You were a longtime New York worker and Long Island resident. You now call South Carolina home. Which is worse?
Yes.
The oppressive heat and humidity of South Carolina in the summer, or the oppressive heat of New York in that concrete jungle in the summer?
Well, I'd say probably New York is worse, only because the heat is different, you know, when everything's radiating off the buildings. Whereas here, I mean, you know, for the first, June, it was hot, but it never got humid. Now the humidity is here, and I have to say it's oppressive. But I spent the summer in Knoxville, so I know how hot the South can be.
You've been there.
And, it was New York was tougher. I mean, I'm in a suit or I'm in a sport jacket, you know, so you dress differently. Here I'm in a pair of shorts and, you know, a polo shirt or a T-shirt. And if I sweat and stink, I don't care. Where in New York, you really got to worry. You don't want to smell up everybody you're working with. So
that's right.
But yeah, New York was. But the only thing about New York, it was, you know, you'd have 1 week a year that was murderous, and most of the summer and spring and fall were relatively nice. So to me, you know, 1 week of pure hell, it's okay. It was all right.
You can make it work. Yes. Traditionally, Republicans / conservatives have the reputation for being economic conservatives, fiscally conservative. Democrats have the reputation of spend, baby, spend. I don't know that there is that much difference in spending, regardless of Republican president or Democrat president administrations at this point. And your most recent Costa's Corner newsletter, and by the way, you can subscribe to that. Just Google Peter Costa newsletter, and you can subscribe with your email address. It's free. You posit that the only real difference now is where the money is going. Expand on that for me a little bit.
Well, you know what? The Democrats traditionally were more about social issues, you know, making sure that everyone's boat was lifted, even if the government was lifting it. They would be paying a lot of different entitlements, you know, to different states for welfare, and you know, they'd spend money on things like that. Whereas the Republicans were more conservative, more defense spending, you know, more trying to balance the budget or at least keep the budget in line. It's not that way anymore. The Republicans are spending money, but I have no problem with increased defense spending. I just think that, and I think I've said it on your show before, the federal government is too unwieldy. You know, you give a major entity like a federal government that much money, a lot of it's going to get wasted. And I think that's been a problem forever. And it just gets bigger and bigger. And, you know, I thought that Donald Trump was more on the, you know, trying to lean towards bringing back or trying to shrink the government a little bit. But it's really not working out that way. It's just once you start feeding the monster just gets bigger and bigger. And I mean, you know, I guess I could be a libertarian where I don't think the government should be involved in everything it's involved in. But the Republicans are now spending like, you know, like there's no tomorrow. And I think that both sides of the aisle have completely lost control, and they've completely lost the fact that at some point, some of this or all of it's going to come due. And I don't think either party cares. I think both parties are more concerned about staying in power, keeping their districts humming with government money so they get reelected. And I think that's always been the case, though. But I think it's just getting worse and worse because there's such a big divide between the two parties. It's not a good situation.
When you say some of it or all of it will eventually come due, I guess I've kind of always been of the opinion that, hey, at some point you're going to have to either pay this off or pay it down or make a whole lot more money so that, you get more in line from a debt-to-income ratio standpoint. But what does that mean when you say one day some of it or all of it is going to come due? Who's going to hold the United States accountable?
Well, they're not going to hold the United States accountable only because of the size. But what happens is when you have that much debt, the interest payments, obviously the federal government wants interest rates, down by 1 or 2% because their cost of borrowing goes down. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of balancing going on, and the government's still going to spend, they're still going to borrow, and they're still going to increase the debt. And the bills, instead of paying $2 trillion in interest, you're going to be paying $4 trillion. Now, if the economy is not expanding at the same rate as the interest levels and the amount of interest we're paying, if it's not expanding, then there's something has to break. And that could lead to a major recession because the money's not there to pay for the interest on these loans, and then the government starts not spending and maybe potentially, not saying it'll happen, but it potentially default. I mean, if the U.S. government defaulted on any of their loans, that would be a worldwide catastrophe. I think that, they eventually won't, but there's a possibility. And the bigger and bigger the debt level gets and the amount of money that we owe and the interest payments, any business, even a huge business, would never be able to operate with that much debt. It would be impossible. There would, 80% of their profits would go to be, paying off that interest on that debt. And, the government's ability to raise money is they can raise taxes. Now, that's a killer for any congressman, senator, even presidential candidate. So how do you solve this problem? I don't think anybody, you, me, there isn't one person on this planet that actually knows how to solve this problem. I don't think, you think that every problem can be solved. This is one I don't think can be solved. I think that we've gotten ourselves to a point where it's just going to continue infinitely, just kicking that can down the road. And, you hope at some point they reduce it. I was not a Bill Clinton fan, but Clinton balanced the budget that was a lot because of Reagan's policies, a few years before, but still, Clinton knew one thing. He knew not to mess what was going on, and that was, I think, his legend. Other than that,
and
his ability
on 97.3 FM,
the opposite sex.
SuperTalk, Mississippi.
But we won't get into it. Just picadillos. But no, balancing the budget would be a start.
Really
but I don't
got a good Christian raisin and a free education. Ain't no need in y'all.
Mornings with Richard Cross. Peter Costa is my guest, former market analyst with CNBC and a governor with the New York Stock Exchange. We'll start this here. I don't think we'll have time to finish it before the break, and so I'm going to interrupt you, and we'll try and pick it up on the other side. Yesterday, the Trump accounts officially went into effect. The $1,000 starter seed money for children born after January 1st, 2025. Michael and Susan Dell were at the announcing of that yesterday. They pledged, I think, $6 billion toward accounts for children as well that fit certain criteria. I think it's 25 million kids at $250 a pop. There are some that are out there, including the congressman from Mississippi, Benny Thompson, who represents the 2nd District. It says, you should not take advantage of these accounts. That strikes me as lunacy. Give me Give me 20 seconds before the break on this, and we'll pick it up and talk about this afterward.
I think if this could be Trump's his legacy, this is one of the best policies I think the White House has ever come up with. And I think it's going to be a very, very successful, very, very motivating factor for children to take advantage of that when they turn 18 and go to either a college, junior college, or a like a computer school, a trade school. I think it's the greatest thing. I can't see anything wrong with it at all.
All right, so why, other than he hates Trump, would Benny Thompson be opposing these? We will talk with about the details of these Trump accounts with Peter Costa when we come back. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk, Mississippi.
From the Venable Glass.
No matter where you're from, Abbeville, Batesville, DeIverville, or any other ville in the SIP, you're starting your day off right. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Sweet Jane. Sweet, sweet Jane.
Post yesterday from the Washington Post. The Trump administration launched new investment accounts for millions of American children under 18, pairing a one-time $1,000 federal deposit for eligible babies with the opportunity for families and employers to contribute more over time. That was the Post with a link to a story. Mississippi Congressman Benny Thompson responded to that, quote tweeted it. It's safe to say I would pass on a Trump account. Trump University already taught us what happens when his name is on the brochure. Does a $25 million settlement ring a bell? Peter Costa, what would be the rationale for Benny Thompson saying he would pass on a Trump account, recognizing that he represents one of the poorest congressional districts in all of the United States?
I have to say that it makes no sense why he would say that, considering where he's located, considering that he's Republican. To me, I don't think
he is not a Republican.
No?
No. No, he is.
He's a Democrat.
Yes.
Oh, he's Democrat. I'm sorry.
Democrat Benny Thompson was one that he was on the January 6th committee. And was the one that called for the removal of Secret Service protection from Donald Trump while he was running for president.
Yeah, I mean, all right, I don't know the man and I don't know his policies, but I think this is also part of the Trump derangement syndrome. I think anytime Donald Trump's name is put on anything or mentioned on anything, there's a fire that's lit inside of them. And I think that it's not common sense that's guiding him. Common sense would say, especially if you're in a poor district, that this is an exceptionally good program. And the only way you're going to lift people out of poverty is to make sure that they get a good education. And even if they graduate from high school and go to a trade school, it lifts them. And to me, that is the only way to do it. And this is a plan. Even if you only have the $1,000 in and you put $100 a year, you're going to have enough money at the end of 18 years to at least partially finance your child going to a trade school or a community college. And you know that, I mean, just seeing that Michael Dell and his wife donating $6 billion to fund or partially fund this, and SpaceX putting 300 million shares or 100, whatever the number is. I mean, every philanthropic organization is going to donate to this because it makes sense for them, it looks good, and there's an absolute positive outcome from it. To me, I think that at the end of the day, there'll be a lot more money in this program than people will expect. And a lot of it, I think, will be funded by that philanthropy because there's a lot of very, very rich people looking for a place to put their money. And if you really, I mean, there's a lot of good programs, but if this is run properly, which I believe it will be because Donald Trump's only going to be in office until 2028. So whatever happens at that point, if it's either J.D. Vance or that moron Gavin Newsom, I'm sorry. I have like political dyslexia or Tourette's. You know, every time I think of a Democrat, my head starts spinning. But anyway, I think it's a great program, and I can't understand. I mean, that's more about having his name on it, and I understand that. A lot of people don't like Donald Trump, and putting his name on it to me maybe incites them, but it incites them to irrational thinking, and that's a problem because this is an exceptionally good program.
$1,000 into a Trump account, 18 years at 8% is worth $4,000 after 18 years if you never put another penny in it. At an additional $10 a month, that number becomes $8,500. At an additional, let's just call it $25 a month over the course of 18 years, that becomes $15,000. We're talking about real money that costs basically nothing.
No, it's the managers of the fund are reducing whatever their costs are to make sure that their fees don't take too much of a bite out of this money. And like I said, Richard, when you have philanthropic donations, and I will tell you, if we come on in 2 years, there'll probably be close to $100 billion donated. If Michael Dell and his wife donated $6 billion, I have to believe that there are other tech titans that are going to donate money as well to build up the foundation and the funding for this, where that $1,000, even at an 8% return, might end up being, there might be more money deposited in each child's account each year because they have this extra funding.
Yeah.
So it's not, you know what I mean? So your parents can put in $20 a month, but with all this extra philanthropy, it might add up to $50 a month, on average. So to me, I think I don't see anything wrong with this. I mean, I could be wrong, but I have to say that this is one of the things that I really, really like. When I heard about it, I said, this is, if my kids were young, I would do it 100%. I think it's a great idea.
Peter, always appreciate your time. We'll talk soon.
Thank you, Richard.
All right, now to the important stuff.
Your VIP pass to hear what the most influential Mississippians are talking about.
This is very important.
Huge news. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Welcome to the 8 o'clock hour. This is Mornings with Richard Cross, presented by Community Bank. When it comes to money, trust isn't automatic. It's earned. That's why Community Bank does things the old-fashioned way. When you come to us, we take the time to listen to you and discuss any questions you have. Whether you're saving, spending, or planning ahead, you'll find bankers who know the community because they're part of it. Community Bank, banking designed with you in mind. Visit us in person or online at communitybank.net. Community Bank, rooted in our community. My next guest this morning is Tom Marotta. He is CEO and founder of the Spaceport Company. If you want to check out their website, you are welcome to do that at thespaceportcompany.com. I think it is a website that will leave you with questions, but also going, whoa, that looks really cool. Tom, good morning. Thanks for your time.
Good morning, Richard. Thanks for having me on this morning.
Let's start with the elevator pitch. What is the Spaceport Company?
Yeah, the Spaceport Company, what we do very simply is we launch rockets from ships at sea. The fancy way of saying that is we provide unique infrastructure solutions for the aerospace and defense industries. We operate America's only commercial launch pad ship. And we operate a commercial missile test range at sea in the Gulf of America. We've done 6 launches to date. We have multiple Department of War contracts, and we've got a backlog of operations that we're going to be doing the rest of this year.
All right, so how did this all come about? Let's kind of go back to the beginning and go, okay, what do we want to do? We want to put a boat that you can launch missiles off of, and maybe we'll have some floating platforms where we can do that too. It can't be that simple.
You pretty much hit the nail on the head. It goes back to my career. Earlier in my career, I worked for some aerospace organizations, and part of my job there was to go find enough launch pads to launch a rocket theoretically every day. And so I lived the pain of trying to find cost-effective, reliable, and predictable missile and test range and launch pad access. And so I said, somebody needs to solve this problem. The United States used to launch rockets from ships at sea commercially. Of course, the Navy has been doing it for decades. That commercial capability went away, and so we're bringing it back. I'm sad to say that the Chinese are probably about 5 years ahead of us in this capability. They've been regularly launching satellites to orbit from the high seas for years now. And so we're trying to bring that capability back. I should point out, I'm remiss in saying we're located right here in Mississippi, right here in Hancock County. All of our maritime operations are down the coast. We're very, very pleased and excited to be in Mississippi and expanding here in Mississippi.
So the Gulf is a big body of water. Oceans are big. How far do you have to go out to get to a place where it is both safe and private, maybe, to go through these launch tests?
Yeah, so we generally operate 10 to 30 miles off the coast. We don't have to go that far out. And, of course, everything is coordinated with the safety authorities, the Federal Aviation Administration and the Coast Guard. And so, we don't just go off and shoot off fireworks, willy-nilly. It's all very organized and regulated, and that's how we're able to do it safely and repeatedly, relatively close to the shore. 30 miles, in the grand scheme of things, is not that far offshore.
There's got to be something in your background, even before you got into the aerospace world, that pushed you in this direction as a career field. I mean, were you the kid that was trying to figure out how to wire multiple bottle rockets together and get 4 of them so that maybe they'll go higher? Or you're doing something with Roman candles where you're kind of trying to test and, modify a Roman candle?
4th of July was always my favorite holiday because that's when all the rocket supplies became in big supply. I always enjoyed, the bottle rockets and the Roman candles. I was the kid making potato cannons. I was the kid, following the space shuttle program and all of that stuff. So, it's been a lifelong passion. And I have to say our team as well, we have a relatively small but mighty team. And all of us are rocket enthusiasts, and we really enjoy it. We have experts from SpaceX, NASA, Blue Origin, which is Jeff Bezos' rocket company. We have fabrication experts who have built all sorts of things, water towers, rocket ships, and everything in between. Zach Bergman, I want to give him a heads up. He's an Army veteran for 20 years. He's on our team. We have mariners who know the Gulf inside and out. So we have a very, very experienced team that, frankly, they make it look easy. But this is rocket science. It's very dangerous. It's very tricky. And then we're putting rockets on boats, right? We're purposefully setting fire to something on a boat, which you never want to do. Yeah. And we're doing it safely and repeatedly. So I want to recognize my team.
And deservedly so. So you said testing rockets. Is it testing only, or are there actually satellite launches that are going into orbit off of your rockets that are being launched either from a boat or from these floating platforms in the Gulf?
Yeah. No, everything that we've done are relatively small rockets, and they're almost always experimental rockets. So it's a lot of weapons development. There's a field of research called hypersonic missile technology, super fast missiles that maneuver. This is an emerging area of technology, and you can't just build a new missile test range in the desert, or you can't just build another Cape Canaveral. So the existing facilities are full. And so the problem we're solving is, demand for missile test ranges exceeds supply. So we're building more supply by essentially unlocking the broad open ocean as temporary missile test ranges. And so it's a lot of short range, kind of relatively low altitude. We can launch satellites to orbit. We have the maritime assets available to do that. We just haven't. We're a relatively new company, and so we haven't deployed that capability just yet.
So you mentioned. Yeah, you mentioned SpaceX, obviously Elon Musk's company, Blue Origin, Jeff Bezos. NASA's farmed out some of its operations in recent years to private companies as well. What is your customer base?
Our customer base is almost exclusively Department of War or Department of War stakeholders. It's a lot of military development. There are many companies entering the aerospace industry. We're in a golden age of aerospace development in the United States today. Not only are companies building lots of new missiles and weapons, but they're also building lots of satellites. There are thousands of satellites going into orbit. Every satellite needs a rocket, and every rocket needs a launch pad. And like I said, the supply of launch pads is relatively static. So if you're using a launch pad to launch satellites, you need to get different launch pads to launch missiles and do weapons development. And so that's where we come into play.
Sometimes we see videos of rocket launches, and I hate to say it's ever become routine, because if you kind of look at that through the eyes of a child, you're still taken back to a space shuttle launch. Like, man, that's the coolest thing ever. But they happen a lot now, and we've seen some of the incredible launches that SpaceX has done along the way. But, and I don't mean this in a bad way, the videos and the images that really stick in our minds are sometimes when it doesn't go well. You talked about safety a second ago. You see that rocket that explodes just after launch pad or explodes on the launch pad. How do you avoid that? And maybe that's not even the right question to ask. Have you guys had an incident where you have had a rocket explode?
That's exactly the right question to ask, Richard. That's always the question we are asking ourselves. And, we're blessed. Thank God, so far we have not had an incident. And a lot of that is due to preparation. We always assume it is going to explode. We always assume it's going to go off course. And so we have decades of combined years of experience on our team, and very, very elaborate procedures to reinforce not only the physical deck of the ship to prepare for a potential explosion. So the ship that we're using, it's a former oil field support vessel. It's a very, very standard ship that's been heavily modified prepared to do this in these launches. And so
Tom, let me interrupt you.
Very confident.
Forgive me. Let me interrupt you just for a second. We're up against the break. You got time to hang with me and talk a little bit more?
Sure.
Let's do it. Tom Marotta, founder and CEO of the Spaceport company based right here in Mississippi. They test rockets from a boat. We're back with you right after this.
From the Venable Glass Track.
Wake up, get up, and start your day right with Mornings with Richard Cross here on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
And talking in your sleep doesn't matter where you've been, as long as it was deep, yeah.
Good to be with you. It's Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk, Mississippi. Some of your questions for Tom Marotta coming in on the C Spire text line. Shoot them to us. We'll try and work them in. 601-879-4395. That's the C Spire text line. C Spire, customer inspired. So we're talking about safety before the break, and I was asking you about whether or not you had an explosion, an incident. You said you have been incredibly fortunate so far, and we're just kind of talking about the processes that you go through to make sure it's as safe as possible. Yet there's nothing that's 100%.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. These are bombs that we're purposefully setting on fire and shooting through the air. I mean, let's call it what it is. This is a pretty risky business. And so the good news is, like I said earlier, we have decades of combined years of experience on the team. And we draw from my experience with the government. For 5 years, I worked in the rocket industry for the U.S. government. Intimately familiar with the safety procedures around conducting these operations safely. But yeah, I mean, once you hit 3, 2, 1, 0 and ignite that rocket, you know, that's when you separate the men from the boys. You get the pucker factor there. And so the best time of any operation is after splashdown and everybody's safe and you can kind of pop some champagne and then get ready to do it again.
How much does it cost to launch a rocket?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's not cheap. I'll tell you that. So what we do, where we are in the value chain, you know, if you were going to go buy a rocket and launch a satellite to space, you know, SpaceX, for example, publishes their price. I think to buy a SpaceX rocket, the big 300-foot tall rocket, is something like $70 million. Could put about 10 tons into low Earth orbit. We're in a different end of the market. We're doing more missile testing, and smaller kind of hypersonic development, missile development there. And, what we do is we provide the real estate. We're not building the rocket. We're not selling the rocket. We're providing the launch pad. So kind of like, an airport, you know, Boeing builds the airplanes, but an airport provides the runway. We're providing the runway. And so, you know, it's a different end of the market, but it's not cheap. Let's call it that. You know, we're operating maritime assets. Anybody, you know, in Mississippi, the great thing about being in Mississippi is a lot of people know the marine industry, the maritime industry. Operating a ship at sea, painting, chipping, fuel, crew, insurance, that all adds up. But one of the great things that we have discovered is operating in Mississippi is a very business-friendly environment. You know, this industry isn't easy, but it's a lot harder in other places. So we're very, very blessed and grateful to be operating out here in Mississippi.
So, Tom, if I'm a rocket manufacturer and I have developed a new rocket and I want to do a test launch and I want to bring it to you, this started off in my head as, do I get to press the red button? But it has actually evolved a little bit to be, I hope a smarter question than that. You know, 3, 2, 1, 0. Can I press the red button to make it go? But if I have developed a rocket that is ready to be tested, do I then hand it over to you for actual launch, or am I, as a customer of yours, intimately involved in the launch process and, you know, all the things that I'm trying to measure?
It is the latter. We work hand in hand, shoulder to shoulder with our customers to build a custom-made test campaign that lets them get the data they need to mature their system. Or if it's a scientific experiment, we work hand in hand with them that they can launch. A lot of rockets do what's called atmospheric science. They don't go all the way up into space, but they go higher than an airplane can go and you know, collect data on the upper atmosphere. And so we work hand in hand with them to make sure that at the end of the campaign, after the splashdown and everything's done, they have the data they need. It's not at all like they hand it off to us and we do it, or sort of like an airport where you get whatever you want. You know, no, it's definitely a custom-made thing tailored to each operation.
So the Spaceport company, if I'm reading correctly, is headquartered in Virginia, but your sea launch hub is in Hancock County, as you mentioned just a second ago. That's where you test and operate. What has it been like integrating into the maritime/military industrial complex that South Mississippi has become?
Yeah, it's been great is the short answer. We have learned a lot. We entered this business as rocket guys. we were not boat guys and we were not Mississippi guys. We scoured the East Coast, basically all the way from Virginia down to southern Texas, looking for a home port for our ships. And when we discovered Hancock County and the coast, Mississippi coast, we knew this was going to be home for us because it's just a very business-friendly environment. But it was still a very steep learning curve, right? The maritime industry is pretty opaque. There's a lot of new language to learn. And so we've had a lot of help from a lot of great people in Mississippi to get that done. And so now we call Mississippi home. Layering rockets on top of boats, on top of the regulations, working with the U.S. Coast Guard. We've had a lot of support with the Coast Guard. Obviously, at the beginning, they were very nervous about what we were doing.
Yeah.
And I like to think we have earned their trust here in the Mississippi area.
It's really incredible. We get I think a good question here, Mike in Gulfport. So in your neck of the woods, I'm wondering how they get a boat or barge stable enough to launch without causing directional problems.
Yeah. So we have proprietary motion compensation technology that we put on the boat. So when the boat is bobbing around on the waves, we can stabilize the launch pad and launch from a stable platform that's on the ship.
You ever considered taking a radio host along for a test launch? Just thinking out loud here.
It's not, not a terrible idea. Maybe we could talk about that offline. A live stream of a launch, something to think about.
It certainly would be.
If Community Bank ever wants to launch a rocket, we'll launch it for them.
There you go. What about competition in this space? Are there lots of other companies that are doing what you're doing, or are you a bit of a unicorn?
I wouldn't say we're a unicorn. There are not a lot of companies doing what we're doing. It's a pretty technical field. We do have some competition. We think imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. But our competition really is other military test ranges. So I don't really consider them competition. I think of them more as complementary because we often operate in military airspace and in cooperation with them. But it's not like there's a wide variety of other users out there. We're the only ones in the United States with an operational commercial launch pad ship.
Wow. How many rockets are you launching in a year?
So we've done 6 launches to date. We've got a backlog on contract this year. I'm just thinking of 4, and we're negotiating for 3 more, hopefully by the end of this year. So
I'm always curious. We've only got 2 minutes left, but when you launch a company, there's this idea of like, all right, how are we successful? And there are different ways that you measure success. It's like, okay, how do we meet payroll? Yeah. How do we grow a little bit? And then you get to the thing of how do we scale? How do we 10x this or 20x this? Is that part of the plan, or is this more of a day by day? Hey, we've gotten to stability, and now let's slowly grow. What does that look like?
Yeah, so we are going to make payroll this month. That's always
congratulations.
Taking care of the alligator closest to the boat. Yeah, so that's great. We'll see what next month brings. In terms of scaling the business, we're always thinking about that. There's not a huge customer base for what we're doing, so we're just taking it month by month and hoping that we can continue to grow. The system itself, the ship itself we can use the similar ships and put our technology on similar ships and do this on the Atlantic or do it out in the Pacific. I'll give you some breaking news. We are planning our first Atlantic operation later this summer. So maybe I can come back in a couple months and tell you all about that. It'll be the first commercial sea launch in the Atlantic ever.
That's outstanding. And if you need that media representative on board, maybe I'm your guy. Just wildly fascinating stuff. Tom, I appreciate your time. Appreciate you telling us more about the Spaceport company, and glad to have you here in Mississippi.
Richard, it's been a pleasure. Thanks so much.
Continued success to you and your entire team. It's Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi, streaming at supertalk.fm and SuperTalk TV. Sometimes just talking into a microphone feels a little inadequate. Wow, what a company. We're back with you after this.
I was down on the ground when the messenger brought me a letter. I was raised by the praise of a fan who said I upset her. Any girl in the world could have easily known me better.
From theSeabrook.com.
You're waking up to what's happening. Mornings with Richard Cross. Right now on Super Talk, Mississippi.
I'm having daydreams about night things in the middle of the afternoon. And every night you make my
The 14th annual Palmer Home for Children Radiothon is coming up on Thursday, July 16th. That is 1 week from this Thursday. Every year, children across Mississippi find themselves in a place where they need a loving home, and many times these children are caught in unimaginable circumstances, and that's why we need your help. You will learn or be reminded how Palmer Home for Children serves vulnerable children. They are a faith-based organization that takes no government money, and so we need your help. We want you to tune in. We want you to join us for the 14th annual Palmer Home for Children Radiothon, all happening next Thursday right here on Super Talk, Mississippi. Such a special day, something that we look forward to all year long, and that so many of you have contributed so generously through the years to help continue the work at Palmer Home for Children. This Friday, Sports Talk Mississippi will be in downtown Corinth for the annual, you know what it is, Lance?
Slug Burgers.
Slug Burger.
I mean, I drive to Corinth to get a Slug Burger when I lived up there.
Slug Burger Festival. It's a fun event every year. Music, fun, and of course, Slug Burgers.
Yes, sir. Love them. Latham's in New Albany is one of my favorites, too.
Yeah?
Yeah, I love that place.
Yeah.
I can eat a whole sack full of those, baby.
And just to give you a heads up, it's hard to believe that it's just around the corner. SEC Media Days is the unofficial start to the college football season. This year, Sports Talk Mississippi will be live in Tampa starting Monday, July 20th to get you ready for the biggest event of the offseason, SEC Media Days. Our coverage of SEC Media Days brought to you in part by Pearl River Resort, Cannon Motors, Mississippi Farm Bureau, and Trustmark Bank. Man, what a conversation with Tom Marotta from the Spaceport Company.
Wasn't that cool?
Yes.
I mean, really cool. I hope you get to visit.
Is it rude to just invite yourself?
No. I mean, you've got to push the door open sometimes, you know?
Yeah. I feel like it could be good exposure for them. I'd be wildly fascinated with it.
Be excellent exposure for both them and RC Big Dog. Get to go out there on a boat. Better take your Dramamine. Probably be out a little ways.
Yeah, I have shamelessly asked through the years for a ride along in a Blue Angel, a Thunderbird, a Hurricane Hunter.
I've got
airplane.
the invite for that. I just haven't had time to do it, to go up into the Hurricane.
Kelso in Ocean Springs, longtime listener in the afternoons. I don't know if he was able to listen in the mornings or not. He may be working. But one of the he flies with the Hurricane Hunters.
Yeah. How cool was that?
Super
Colonel
cool.
Cross with the Hurricane Hunters, yeah. We've had him on a couple times over the years.
That's right.
Great guy.
Well, if I keep throwing my bait in the water, at some point something will bite maybe and get to do one of those.
Up the insurance just in case, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, just going and max the policy.
The Secretary General of the United Nations is Antonio Guterres. He was recently in Geneva earlier this week. And he was speaking at a summit on artificial intelligence. And he wants humanity to forbid killer robots. What are you talking about, Richard? Antonio Guterres called Monday for lethal autonomous weapons to be banned by international law, resurfacing an AI safety dispute that was at the core of Anthropic's schism with the Pentagon earlier this year. Guterres said machines selecting and engaging their target and taking a life without human control and judgment, that is morally repugnant. Let us call them what they are, killer robots. Artificial intelligence systems and chips designed for civilian use are increasingly being deployed both on the battlefield and in military headquarters. And that's setting up a debate over when military forces should use AI, when humans should intercede, and who should decide where to draw the lines. You may remember Anthropic seeking assurances from the Pentagon that its AI models would not be used to power either domestic surveillance or autonomous weapons systems. The Pentagon, which was then a heavy user of Anthropic tools, refused, saying that they should be allowed to use their AI resources for all lawful purposes. And the two sides are still fighting it out in court. Good grief. Is this a morality issue? Is it an international law issue? Is it a Geneva Convention issue? The artificial intelligence models Lance, I know you've read some about this, and I have a little bit as well. But there is a concern about giving them so much information that they begin to, these models almost think on their own. And they do so without conscience. It's only based on data. And it's as scary as it can be.
Yeah, I mean, people are scary at times. You know, I mean, given that we're the ones that programmed it, it's our collective consciousness getting poured into a computer. The flaws of man are definitely going to be contained within the same operating system that, you know, we built. So, yeah, we've got to be careful with that stuff. The other side is, obviously, if AI gets a little more sentient, some of the things that we've asked it to do, the impression it has of humans isn't very good and happy. It's just, when you look at what it pumps out, it's like humans look very, very depressed and terrible to what AI seems to portray us as. So I think you got to be careful with these things.
Well, and I mean, you can see, I mean, this is a very, very basic example, but you remember only a few years ago, if you wanted information on a topic, you would type a topic into a Google search engine. I'll give you an example. Yesterday, I was looking at food, freeze dryers, and dehydrators. And in the past, if I wanted to know the difference between a freeze dryer and a dehydrator, I would have had to type that in, look for articles, and then kind of compare and contrast on my own. Yesterday, I just opened up a Google search, and I was like, hey, what's the difference between a dehydrator and a freeze dryer? Mm-hmm. And I get like this printed out chart with all the answers where it shows the pros and cons of each and what a dehydrator does and what a freeze dryer does, and goes on and on and on. Thomas in Greenwood says, are you going to be a prepper, comrade?
Yeah, I was about to say, he's in his prep mode now if he's starting to freeze dry.
No, it's not exactly the application that I was looking for.
A bunch of Wagyu steaks frozen.
Yeah, I don't necessarily hate that idea, but not exactly what I was searching for. More like Skittles, you know.
Well, a great question, though, because and I think a point you're making is that the critical thinking skills that we as humans possess, we're handing off a great deal, but at the same time, the simplicity that it will add into your lives, if used appropriately, is definitely going to be second to none. I mean, you just saved yourself a ton of time, and hopefully you got extremely accurate answers.
Yeah.
You still got to kind of go back and double check that stuff.
You do. I mean, that's the thing. You got to check it because, there's an old joke. Well, it's true because the internet said so.
Yeah.
Well, when you go, it's true because AI said so. An example. A couple of years ago, I was doing an interview on Sports Talk, and it was leading into the Ryder Cup. And I was talking about success that an individual player or team had in Ryder Cup matches. And I typed in a question, and the information that it spit out that I used in terms of asking a question in the interview was inaccurate. And the guest was as kind as they could be. He's like, I don't think that's... And I didn't argue with him on the air, but I thought, well, what's he talking about? Like, I'm looking at it right here. It shows what the results are since 2014 for this player or this team. And it was just wrong. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, it cited different things on the internet as to where it got it. It's just wrong. Thomas said a second ago when I said almost think on their own, that was years ago. Those AI models are thinking on their own. And it's interesting when you think about wartime application, killer robots, as Guterres from the United Nations called them.
What if we have transitioning robots? That's going to be the next thing, I think. Got to be careful.
No boy robots and girl robot sports.
Yeah,
all right?
Exactly.
We're not crossing that line. We're back with you to wrap things up after this. Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk, Mississippi.
From the Venable Glass.
Waking up, Mississippi. From South Haven to Scuba, it's Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
When in doubt, move on. No need to sort it out. You're with me now. We'll be again. All their points.
C-Spire text line is open to you, 601-879-4395, 601-879-4395. Parents and kids, don't miss the C-Spire Back to School event this Saturday, July 11th in Renaissance at Colony Park in Ridgeland, featuring tons of free family activities, including tie-dyeing, ice cream, yard games, and more. For more details, visit the website cspire.com. C-Spire, customer inspired. Mike on the C-Spire text line says he's going to try his hand at freeze drying some Cave City watermelon this summer.
I've never freeze dried anything. I don't really know what you do.
Well,
you like suck all the air out and then
freeze drying uses extremely cold temperatures to lower the core temperature of the food, and then there's a vacuum component that sucks the moisture out, whereas dehydrating uses high temperature to dry out the food. Freeze drying can hold food for up to 25 years. Dehydrating is more like 1 to 5 years.
Okay.
So I learned yesterday.
Yeah, well, when I start prepping, I'm going to come to you.
Here's what I know for sure. Cave City watermelons are good. Mike has brought me some of those in the past, and I appreciate that very much.
Where's Cave City? Is that like Tennessee or something?
In Arkansas.
Oh, okay. The Ozark Caves.
Good watermelons. So this kind of goes along with what we were talking about a second ago with the autonomous killer robots. The AI boom is fueling massive demand for memory chips, forcing electronics manufacturers to grapple with rising prices, and those prices are now trickling down to consumers. Memory chips responsible for storing and processing data are a key component in everything from smartphones to laptops to cars. But the massive data center build-out is straining supply and driving up costs. Major U.S. consumer technology companies like Apple and Microsoft have already announced increased prices. The rise of AI over the past few years has fueled a push to rapidly build new data centers and bring online additional computing capacity. While much of the conversation is centered around advanced AI chips, memory chips are also a crucial component. So what is the practical application here? Well, if you're looking for something new from Mac, part of their late June 2026 lineup, prices are jumping from $100 to $300 per model, unfortunately. And so the entry price now for a MacBook Neo is $699. Entry price for a MacBook Air, which was $1,099, now up to $1,299. A MacBook Pro now starts at $1,999. An iMac at $1,499 and a Mac Studio at $2,499. What about the Xbox? Appears to be about a $150 price increase across the board. I'm going to stop with the 99s and I'm going to round up for ease. Xbox Series S has gone from $399 to $499. The Series S with 1 terabyte of memory has gone from $450 to $600. The Xbox Series X has gone from $600 to $750. And the Series X with 1 terabyte disc has gone from $650 to $800. You remember when a Nintendo cost $99?
Yeah, it's been a while.
It has been a while. But Lance, you know one place that prices have not gone up? In fact, they have gone down? Belk Ford and Oxford Toyota. Right now you can find employee pricing on new Ford vehicles at Belk Ford on Highway 6 West in Oxford. Employee pricing means the price on the sticker is not the price you pay. In some cases, you can save as much as $10,000 off the window sticker price on a new Ford vehicle. Whether it's an F-150, the best-selling truck in America for 49 years, the F-250 Super Duty, Explorers, Expeditions, Mustangs, Broncos. They've got a great selection on the lot, and they've got a great sales team and service department to back up those new and previously owned vehicle sales. Visit them online at belkford.net or stop by and see them in person. Or give them a call. Talk to them about what you are looking for, and they can help. Belk Ford, Oxford Toyota, Highway 6 West in Oxford. I've been a customer there for over 2 decades, right at 2 decades. I'd encourage you to do the exact same thing. Tell about that you heard about them from Richard Cross on Mornings with Richard Cross right here on Super Talk, Mississippi. Thanks for being with us today. Appreciate Peter Costa stopping by. Always a good conversation with him. Also Tom Marotta from the Spaceport Company. For Lance Talbert, I'm Richard Cross. This is MRC on Super Talk, Mississippi. Hope you have a terrific Tuesday.
SuperTalk Mississippi Media Production.